Well, you are told to derive it from the ISLM model. So, ISLM, relationship between interest rates and output. LM curve represents the money market. IS curve represents the goods market. How is this useful in explaining why aggregate demand is downward sloping? So suppose we were to go from price P1, price P2. Aggregate demand curve is saying that demand would rise. The ISLM model is an explanation of what level of demand we obtain. So why is it that the price level matters for IS or LM in such a way that lower prices lead to more demand? Well, you actually have 3 different ways you could obtain this result. Can you give me one of them? The Keynes effect, which means what? Or how does it work? So low price does what? Price goes down, what happens next? The money supply in real terms, MOP, goes up. The assumption is that the nominal money supply, the N, is constant here. That does what? It shifts the LM curve to the right, for the same reason that an increase in the money supply will shift the LM curve to the right. That means the interest rate goes down. That means demand goes up. I.e. move along the IS curve. So you go from an LM price level 1 to an LM lower price level 2. So interest rates will drop. That's the mechanism. It leads money market equilibrium to imply a lower interest rate. Lower interest rates encourage spending. That is the Keynes effect. Now, just a quick word on exam technique. This question, if you look at the wording of it, this question gives you considerable latitude in how you answer it. First, you have a choice of drawing a graph or doing algebra. I don't know about you, but I find the graph that I've just drawn so much easier than grinding through the algebra deriving the AD curve. Nonetheless, there are some masochists out there who actually prefer to do the algebra than to draw the graph. If you really do find the algebra easier than drawing this picture, well, good luck to you. I don't mind, but it seemed perverse to not to take the easy way out. It's not as though there were more marks being offered for the algebra than the graphs. 6 marks, however you answer the question. The second bit of masochism in your answers was, once you come up with one explanation for why aggregate demand was down sloping, one would suffice, was then to go through an encyclopedia of all the different ways aggregate demand could be downsloping. Now, if you've been asked to document 2 reasons, or 3 reasons, why AD is downsloping, yes, you have to do that. But here, any one of them would suffice. So, pick up your 6 marks in the easiest way. Don't waste time. This is enough for 6 marks. Maybe it's a great injustice that 6 marks can be earned so easily, but that's not for you to worry about. Now, just for the sake of completeness, given what I've just said, and you don't need it, but what are the other ways you can get the aggregate demand curve to slope downwards? What else is on offer? Keynes effect is number 1. That's the most common effect that you see. It's the one I would always go for, but there are 2 others. One of them is very easy to understand. That's the more complicated of the 2, but it was the one I was going to do next anyway, so that's fine. There is a so-called Pigot effect. After Arthur Pigot, who proposed this explanation as to why prices matter for aggregate demand. You can think of all of these arguments as just trying to provide a reason why, given that the standard microeconomic intuition doesn't work, why there is a special macroeconomic reason for how the price level affects demand. So what was Pigot's idea? It starts out in a very similar way. Prices go down, therefore M over P goes up. But unlike the Keynes effect, the fact that the real money supply increases, that has a different effect. What is the effect? Which curve shifts? There's another way of asking this. Yes. So the IS curve will shift right. If you had to explain why, what would you fill in this gap here? So the end point of the argument is IS shifting to the right will boost demand, move along the LM curve. But why? Why does the IS curve shift? And why does consumption increase? It's people feel wealthier. Money is an asset. The value of the asset has gone up. You're wealthier. I'll even fill in the consumption part. That's the Pigot effect. It would give you another shift of it would give you a rightward shift of IS. That would magnify the Keynes effect. So this LM shift is number 1. This IS shift is number 2. You can see that you will get a higher level of income. What's number 3? Number 3 is back to microeconomics. is it? Can someone shout out? What is it? Exchange rates, competitiveness. Indeed. And this is the easiest one to understand because it's just like micro. It's a good gets cheaper and people buy more of it. The reason we can apply this logic about competitiveness is that in an open economy, the price level is actually not the average price of all goods. Which goods does it refer to? Just domestically produced goods. So the reason you can go back to applying the micro logic is that the price does not now include all goods. Some goods are missing, foreign produced goods. So when P changes, it's changing the price of some goods relative to other goods. P going down means domestic goods get cheaper than foreign goods. Therefore, people buy more domestic goods, fewer foreign goods. That means net exports rise, IS shifts to the right. So number 3 is really just like the microeconomic explanation as to why demand curves slope downwards. So you can call it the competitiveness effect. Obviously, this applies only in an open economy. So P down is domestic goods become cheaper than foreign goods. Relative to foreign. You need a Marshall-Lerner condition technically to deduce this next step, but we normally assume that a change in the relative price, fall in the relative price of domestic goods to foreign goods, improves net exports. The quantity effects dominate the value index. That means the IS curve shifts right.
Number 3, competitive.
That means demand goes up. So this rightward shift of the IS curve here, that's also effect number 3 as well, or at least you get, I guess, in principle, 2 shifts of the IS curve. Let's put them together as 2 and 3 here. Now, some of you attempted to add a 4th explanation, as if 3 wasn't enough. You only needed 1 of them. Some people wanted to do 4, and even more worrying, add a 4th one that wasn't even correct, which, or at least one that requires a lot more explanation in order to be correct. So some of you attempted to say that when prices go down, income goes up. I was reading this a lot in various people's answers. The price is down, real income up. And that boosts demand. Why might you object to that? Is that valid? Some of you must have written this, so you must have had some notion in your mind as to why there was a connection between prices and real income. maybe what you had in your mind was people have jobs, they have a wage, and that wage is a particular amount of money. So when the price level drops, the real wage goes up. Therefore, you've got more income. Does that sound plausible? So why do I not want to include this? Firstly, is GDP the same as wages? When we talk about income in macroeconomics, we mean GDP. So the claim here is that price is down, real GDP up. So if wages in money terms stay the same and prices drop, yes, real wages go up. But why might that not mean income goes up, as in GDP? Well, the worker is better off. What about the person who pays the wage? You're worse off. So basically, it's something that raises wages in real terms and reduces profits in real terms. Those two effects cancel each other out. So real GDP is not affected. Basically, there's a winner and a loser. The worker loses. The person who receives the profits from the firms, or the worker wins, the person who receives the profits from the firms loses in this case. So overall real income is not changed. So I would not include this. Some of you actually confused this with the Pigot effect, but some of you wanted to put it as a kind of fourth reason, or just missed out the Pigot effect completely and put this in as an alternative. This is not correct. So don't do it. Don't confuse real money balances, M over P, with real income.